What's up guys, Zach here, and today I have something very exciting for you. Today I have a very special box. It is this right here, and this is not from the United States. This is from Sweden, and this is from Eric Martinsson. He works over at Latitude, over in Sweden, obviously, and I'm really excited to see what these are. I mean, I know what they are, but I want to see... I know what they already are, but I want to see how cool they are, because these are going to be in some really cool plastics, I guarantee it. I've already seen a couple other ones floating around, so this is something new that is going to be a part of the channel, I'm hoping. So again, big shout out to Eric. Thank you again. Let's open this and see what it's all about. I've been waiting to open this for quite some time now. Yes. Okay, so there are some really cool colors that I can see in here already, and you can probably see in the video, it's really hard to tell. I love how they're able to do this basically on demand now. I think it's really cool that they are doing burst plastic. I think it's awesome. So, as you can see, this is Westside's new putter. This is the Maiden, and this is honestly the first time that I've actually had my hands on these. It looks like it's a pretty, I mean, it's super flat, which is really nice. It's pretty shallow. It's not as deep as a shield, obviously not a dagger. A dagger is the deepest thing. It's basically the Marianas Trench of putters, but this is, I would say, probably more like a swan, but it does have a bead on it. It looks like it's a bigger bead similar to a shield. I do believe I have a shield lying around here that I can show. The next one is probably some really cool ones. Well, one of the cooler ones, this is blue with black, and that is really, really awesome. I really like that color combination. Now I'll show all the cameras here. I think I can see that there. Here's a sweet black one with some white, kind of turns out gray because it's not going to be fully white, but that one's really cool. Then we have a very cool pink one here, pinkish purple with also some white in there, it looks like. Get him over to the cameras. And then the last one, again, is another black one that's got some blue in it. And this one's very cool as well. They all look relatively the same. None are like, one's flatter than the other, none are like more puddle topped. These are all the same. I mean, that's really cool. So I got a bunch of, I got a couple purple ones, a couple black ones. I got black with some blue, and I got a blue with a black. I think that's really cool. All right, so I will set these kind of off to the side. You can still see them, don't worry. All right, so again, this is gonna be the putter for the 2018 Trilogy Challenge, obviously from Westside, and I think it's gonna be really, really cool because I like the feel of this. I don't know if it's gonna be stable, overstable. Kyle did put out a little video saying that it was a pretty straight flyer, not crazy overstable, but not super flippy, which I'm really excited for. You can get these obviously in the Trilogy Challenge. You're gonna have to check your local area for when they start. Typically, from what I was hearing and reading, is that it's about springtime is when they start popping up. That's where you're going to be able to get these. As for an official release date, again, talking to the guys over at Dynamic, they're not going to have an official release date until the Trilogy Challenge actually starts. So it could be later on in the year, about September, October-ish. So that's actually going to be a little while from now, but I do have 5 of these. And I'm going to be giving away all 5 of them. I'm excited to go through these, but I do want to compare these to a couple different discs. I also realized that I didn't have a hat on and my hair looked great, so thanks for letting me know. Hopefully there's a bunch of comments. I thought it looked pretty beautiful. All right, so I found a couple discs to compare these to. One of the first things that came to mind when I first felt the Maiden was a swan, so I grabbed one of those. I grabbed a few other things from the other companies as well. I have a Mercy from Latitude. I have a Marshall from Dynamic, though I think it's a little more similar to a Judge rather than a Marshall, but I don't own a Judge, so I can't necessarily compare it to that. And then lastly, I have a Crown, because the Maiden is a beaded putter, so I wanted to grab something as well that had a bead that was also somewhat low profile. So I have the Maiden here, along with the Swan, and again, these are both pretty low profile discs. The Maiden does have a bead, but when compared to the Swan here, you can tell there's a little bit of a difference. The Maiden is probably a little flatter as compared to the Swan has a little more raised shoulders. The Maiden is pretty board flat from shoulder to shoulder. Obviously, the Maiden does have a bead. The Swan does not. Something tells me that the Maiden is actually going to be a little more stable than the Swan. But I don't think the Maiden is going to be crazy overstable or anything like that. Possibly a good complement to what the Harp is. Next up is the Crown. And the Crown has a little more blunt of a nose. The shoulders are definitely more predominant, but the Crown is definitely different. They're both definitely different putters by far, but it's probably a little more similar to the Crown than the Swan, feel-wise, because it's got a bead and everything. And the bead actually looks almost the same to me. I don't know if you can actually tell there, but that's just kind of what I see. Next up is the Marshall, and I've only thrown the Marshall maybe a few times, and it's pretty straight overstable. But the Marshall, again, is another one that's actually pretty different from the Maiden. Maiden, probably compared to all four of these putters, is going to be much flatter across the top rather than all these other putters. They have a little bit more of a raised shoulder. The bead looks almost identical. I think the one on the Marshall is a little smaller, but I mean, not quite the same. The Marshall is a little bit thicker rather than the Maiden is. It's definitely a low profile putter. And then just the last one to compare, just so there's a little more information, is the Mercy. And the Mercy is another putter that does not have a bead. But again, the Mercy has more of a raised shoulder. The Maiden has a bead, as to where the Mercy does not. But yeah, I don't know how similar these two would fly to one another, but there's just some comparisons. So not quite identical to any of these putters. I would honestly say out of all these, it's more similar to the Crown and the Swan. The Swan because the Maiden is low profile, and the Crown because the Crown is not as low profile, but it's got a similar feel to me. The Crown is a little more comfortable in the hand, as I'd say maybe like a putting putter. For me, the Maiden is probably more of just like a throwing putter, like maybe sidearms or something like that. But for like a putting grip for myself, it's a little uncomfortable just for whatever reason. I don't think it's bad for that reason, but I don't know. I haven't thrown these yet. So instead of talking about these, let's finally go throw these and head out to Addison Oaks, because Addison Oaks is awesome. Oh, music stopped. Well, there you have it, guys. That is the Westside Maiden. There's a lot of throws in there, so hopefully you found some good information. I was pleasantly surprised with how these were actually flying. I went in there thinking that this was going to be basically a more stable swan, that it was going to be a pretty neutral flyer to somewhat understable, and it seemingly was that way. I was throwing these on like a pretty good hyzer, and they were standing up and just kind of riding straight. If I give it a little more hyzer, it kind of seemed to hold it and go all the way like left as far as it could go before it hit the ground. Same thing with an anhyzer. So I was throwing them out pretty high up, but with some good anhyzer, but they weren't actually turning anymore. They were just kind of holding that line all the way to the ground. And I got some really good flights out of them, and I was really happy with it. Also, big shout out to my buddy Jason Kirkcaldy, who was helping me film on one of the holes out at Indy Lake. I also threw some putts with this there at the end. I was making some pretty good putts with it. I was pretty happy with it. As a putting putter, I think it is very good because it is quite glidey. If you're looking for something that's pretty straight, maybe a little understable, it might be like just that straight flyer for you, and you do like beaded putters that are flat and low profile, I would say definitely check this out. I mean, even check this out even if you're not sure. I mean, it could be something that you like. And yeah, and I understand that this is a longer video than normal for disc reviews. Typically I want them maybe a few minutes less than this because maybe it's a little more rambly. I know it was a little rambly in the beginning, but this is basically an unboxing, disc review, and giveaway kind of all crammed into one. So hopefully that's something that you guys enjoy, because I had a lot of fun doing this. And I think it's really cool that Eric reached out to me in doing something like this. So thank you, and big shout out to you, especially the guys over at Dynamic and Westside, the whole kit and caboodle, the entire family. I think it's really cool that they actually take a notice in the channel and everything. So the incremental small growths are really cool and really exciting. So again, anyways, enough rambling. It's time to give away these discs because, well, it's not really time. It's time to announce that I'm giving these away, because you'll have a week to actually enter for a chance to win one of these 5 putters. I have 5 of these. I want to know what your guys' go-to snack is on the course. Me personally, I like Go-Gurts. I think Go-Gurts are pretty bomb.